The breaking point. The massive council chamber buzzed with angry voices from dozens of different species. Commander Lee Day sat in his small chair at the back, watching aliens argue like children fighting over toys. His weathered face showed no emotion, but inside he felt his patience wearing thin like old rope ready to snap. 3 months had passed since the first emergency session. 3 months of endless talking while good people died in space. The holographic displays around the room showed the same terrible numbers: ships destroyed, colonies burned, families torn apart by pirates who grew bolder every day. The Talon Empire representative stood on his perch, flapping his golden wings. The bird-like alien screeched through his translator about military honor and proper chain of command. His feathers ruffled with each angry word, but Lee Day noticed the Talon had no real solutions, just complaints about who should lead any attack. Near the center of the room, the crystal-bodied miners hummed in their strange harmonic language. Their translator converted the musical tones into words about hiring mercenaries and keeping costs low. The rock-like beings cared more about their mining profits than the lives being lost to pirate raids. Gas-breathing floaters drifted in their special suits, making whooshing sounds that meant they wanted everyone to leave them alone. Their floating cities moved through space, avoiding all conflict while other species bled and died. Lee Day had heard these same arguments for 93 days straight. Every species had excuses. Every delegate had reasons why they could not act. The Talons wanted command, but refused to share costs. The miners would pay, but demanded others do the fighting. The floaters just wanted to hide behind all the fancy words and diplomatic language. Lee Day saw the real truth. These aliens were afraid of taking risks, afraid of making hard choices, afraid of doing what needed to be done. The council speaker stood at the center podium. His tall blue body had too many eyes that blinked in patterns Lee Day never understood. The alien raised his forearms for silence, and the chamber slowly grew quiet. 17 more ships lost this week, the speaker announced. In his echoing voice, the Void Raiders grow stronger. They attack our supply lines, steal our technology, and sell our people as slaves. The situation becomes more desperate each day. The chamber exploded back into chaos. Delegates pointed claws, tentacles, and other appendages at each other. Some species blamed their neighbors for not sharing defense costs. Others accused rivals of secretly working with the pirates to hurt their enemies. Lee Day watched the hologram of the latest attack. A passenger liner called Happy Journey had been carrying 500 families to a new colony world. Now it floated in space as twisted metal and frozen bodies. The pirates had taken everything of value and left the rest to die in the cold vacuum. A slug-like delegate oozed forward, leaving a trail of slime. His speaking tube dripped as he made his suggestion. Perhaps we should form another committee to study the problem more carefully. We could spend several months gathering additional data. That was the moment Lee Day felt something break inside his chest, like a dam bursting after too much pressure. He had served Earth for 30 years. He had fought in border wars, negotiated trade deals, and kept the peace. But he had never seen such cowardice, disguised as wisdom. Lee Day stood up slowly. His military boots clicked on the metal floor like gunshots in the sudden silence. Every conversation stopped. Every eye tentacle and sensor turned toward the human in the back corner. The small human delegation rarely spoke during these sessions. Earth was new to galactic politics, with only a few dozen worlds compared to the thousands controlled by older species. But when humans did speak, other species listened, because human words usually meant human action. You have been talking for 93 days, Lee Day said. His voice carried across the huge chamber without need for amplification. 93 days while good people die. My government sent me here to work with allies, but all I see are politicians, more worried about their pride than their people. The council speaker blinked his many eyes in nervous sequence. Commander Lee, surely you understand the complexity of coordinating multiple species with different military doctrines and political concerns. I understand that my daughter Kim, so young, is commanding a patrol ship in Sector 7 right now, where 3 vessels were attacked yesterday. Lee Day replied, his voice growing harder. I understand that Captain Park, Min Ho, just sent word that his rescue team found no survivors on the merchant vessel. Happy Trader, I understand that while you debate families are being torn apart, The chamber grew deadly quiet. Aliens who had been arguing moments before now watched the human with growing unease. There was something in his tone that made predators nervous and prey animals want to hide Lee. Day picked up his datapad and headed for the exit. His footsteps echoed in the silence like a countdown to something terrible Earth tried to do. "This your way," he said without turning around. "We offered our ships, our soldiers, our resources. We volunteered to take the most dangerous missions and asked for nothing in return. But you cannot even agree on what color uniforms to wear." He reached the massive doors that led out of the council chamber. Before stepping through, he turned back one final time. Every alien in the room felt their survival instincts screaming warnings. "Fine," Lee Day said with the quiet certainty of a man who had made up his mind. "I will handle it." The doors closed behind him with a sound like thunder. The chamber erupted in panic. Some delegates demanded he return. Others called humans arrogant upstarts who did not understand galactic politics. A few wise species representatives sat quietly, understanding they had just witnessed something that would change everything. The council speaker banged his ceremonial gavel, trying to restore order, but the damage was done. Humanity had tried cooperation. Humanity had offered partnership. Humanity had asked nicely. Now humanity would do what humans did best when talking failed. They would take action in his private quarters. Lee Day activated his secure communication link to Earth. The message he sent was short and simple. "The Council continues to debate while people die. Request permission to implement Option 7. The reply came back within minutes. "Permission granted. Bring our people home." Lee Day began drafting orders that would mobilize every human warship in the galaxy. Within hours, the greatest military operation in human history would begin. Not because they wanted war, but because sometimes the only way to save lives was to take them from those who threatened the innocent. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when humans stopped asking for permission and started demanding results. The pirates who had terrorized space lanes for decades were about to face an enemy that did not negotiate, did not compromise, and did not stop until the job was finished. Commander Lee Day looked out at the stars, knowing his daughter and thousands of other brave souls were out there facing danger, while aliens argued about protocol. Soon they would have the support they deserved. Soon the galaxy would understand that when humans said they would handle something, it was not a threat. It was a promise. Within 6 hours of Commander Lee Day stepping off the transport ship at Luna Station, every human military base in known space was buzzing with activity like a kicked anthill. Soldiers who had been enjoying shore leave suddenly found themselves back in uniform with new orders. Ships that had been docked for routine maintenance were declared combat ready and began loading weapons. Admiral Kim Tae-yoon stood in the command center of Pacific Base, watching dozens of screens showing military preparations across human space. Her silver hair was pulled back in the tight bun she wore during wartime, and her steel-gray eyes missed nothing. The orbital shipyards above Earth had been building cargo haulers and civilian transports just yesterday. Today they were retooling assembly lines to pump out warships. The massive construction platforms that usually took months to build a single vessel were now working around the clock with 3-shift rotations. Captain Park Min-ho burst through the command center doors, still wearing his rescue suit from the latest recovery mission. His face was grim, and his hands shook slightly from what he had seen floating in the wreckage of another merchant ship. "Admiral, we just pulled 47 bodies from the cargo vessel New Dawn," he reported. "The pirates took everything valuable and left families to die in vacuum, including 8 children under 10 years old." Kim Tae-yoon nodded grimly. She had read similar reports every day for months while the Galactic Council debated jurisdiction and proper procedures. The aliens seemed to think dead humans were just numbers in their diplomatic calculations. Major Choi Ye-jin entered the room wearing full combat armor. Her marine insignia gleamed under the harsh lights, and her expression showed the barely controlled anger of a professional soldier, tired of watching civilians die. "My battalions are ready, Admiral," she announced. "We have been training for anti-piracy operations for 2 years while the Council talked. My Marines know how to board hostile ships, clear pirate bases, and rescue prisoners. The men and women are eager to finally do something useful." The intelligence chief Song Jae-wook appeared at Kim Tae-yoon's shoulder carrying a data pad filled with months of careful research. His quiet manner hid one of the sharpest military minds in human space. "We have been tracking the Void Raiders for 18 months, he said, activating a massive holographic display. The galaxy appeared, in 3 dimensions with red dots marking pirate attacks and yellow lines showing movement patterns. The aliens think the pirates are random raiders hitting targets of opportunity." Song continued, "But our analysis shows clear patterns. They have permanent bases, supply lines, and a command structure. The Council knows this information, but they are too busy protecting their own territories to see the bigger picture." Kim Tae-yoon studied the hologram with the eye of someone who had spent 30 years fighting wars. The red dots formed clusters around certain star systems while the yellow lines showed regular travel routes between hidden bases. "What assets do we have available?" she asked. Song Jae-wook smiled for the first time in months. 57 combat-capable ships, including 12 of the new stealth frigates that the aliens do not know exist. 30,000 Marines trained in boarding operations and hostile environment combat, plus something special we have been developing in the Black Projects Division. He touched his data pad, and new symbols appeared on the holographic display. Small blue triangles that moved independently through Space Hunter killer drones. Song explained, "Each one is the size of a fighter, but packed with sensors that can track ships through hyperspace jumps. The pirates think they are safe because they keep moving, but these drones can follow them anywhere." General Yoon Seok-jin stepped forward from where he had been quietly observing. His weathered face showed the scars of battles fought in humanity's expansion to the stars. "The other species will not help us," he warned. "Some might even work against us if they think we are getting too powerful. The Talons are already calling us warmongers. The miners are worried we will disrupt their trade agreements with pirate fences." Kim Tae-yoon turned to face her assembled officers. These were the men and women who had kept humanity safe while politicians argued. They understood that sometimes the only way to preserve peace was to destroy those who threatened it. "Then they will learn what happens when you leave humans to handle things ourselves," she said. Her voice carried the cold certainty of someone who had made difficult decisions before. "Let them call us warmongers while we save their people." Captain Park Min-ho stepped forward. "Admiral, my crews have been pulling bodies from pirate attacks for months. We know their methods, their weapons, and their weaknesses. They show no mercy to civilians, so they deserve none from us, Major." Ye-jin nodded agreement. "My Marines have studied every pirate base location we could identify. We know which ones are heavily defended and which ones are soft targets. We can hit them fast and hard before they know what is happening." Song Jae-wook activated another section of his display, showing detailed intelligence on pirate leadership. "The Void Raiders are led by someone called the Pirate King Vorthak, but our intercepts suggest the organization is actually run by a council of captains. Each one controls several ships and reports to the central command." Kim Tae-yoon walked closer to the hologram, studying the positions of known pirate strongholds. Most were in empty space between major trade routes, hidden in asteroid fields or on dead worlds that offered no resources worth claiming. "How long will it take to mobilize everything?" she asked. General Yoon checked his chronometer. 72 hours for full deployment, Admiral. The stealth frigates can begin operations immediately while the main battle groups move into position. Park Min-ho raised his hand. "Admiral, request permission to lead the first strike. My ship knows the patrol routes where most attacks happen. We can hit their forward scouts before they warn the main bases." Kim Tae-yoon considered the request. Park Min-ho had lost more friends to pirate attacks than anyone else in the room. His desire for revenge was understandable, but she needed clear thinking, not emotional reactions. "Granted," she decided, "but you follow the mission parameters exactly. We are not seeking revenge. Captain, we are eliminating a threat to galactic civilization. There is a difference." Song Jae-wook pulled up communication intercepts showing increasing panic among pirate groups. "They know something is happening. Admiral, several of their scouts have reported unusual human ship movements. The smart ones are already trying to disappear." "Let them run," Kim Tae-yoon replied. "We will find them anyway. The galaxy is big. But it is not infinite, and humans are very good at hunting. Major Ye Jin activated her personal communicator. Admiral, my regiment commanders are requesting immediate deployment authorization. The Marines have been ready for this operation since the first civilian ship was destroyed. Kim Tae-yun looked around the room at the faces of her officers. These people had watched helplessly while aliens debated and innocent people died. Now they finally had permission to do what soldiers did best: protect the innocent by destroying their enemies. Authorization granted, she announced. Operation Clean Sweep begins in 72 hours. All units will deploy according to Battle Plan 7 Alpha. The mission is simple: eliminate the Void Raiders as an effective fighting force, rescue any prisoners possible, and send a message to every pirate group in the galaxy. The room erupted in controlled activity as officers began implementing orders that had been prepared for months. Humans did not make threats lightly. When they decided to solve a problem, they brought overwhelming force and absolute determination. Within hours, every human military installation would be mobilizing for the largest anti-piracy operation in galactic history. The aliens had failed to protect their own people, so humanity would do it for them. The galaxy was about to learn that when humans said they would handle something, they meant it. 6 months after the last pirate base burned in space, the galaxy looked completely different. Trade routes that had been death traps were now safer than city streets. Families could travel between star systems without fear. Merchant ships carried cargo instead of weapons and armor. Captain Park Min-ho stood on the bridge of his new command ship, watching a mixed fleet of human and alien vessels patrol the Kepler trade corridor. His crew included Talon's miners and even a few reformed floaters who had learned to work together under human leadership. The change had been dramatic. Most alien species that once dismissed human tactics now begged to learn from them. The same delegates who had called humans warmongers 6 months ago were now requesting joint training exercises. Your people work differently than ours, observed Lieutenant Kresh, the Talon warrior, who served as Park Min-ho's second in command. The bird-like alien had initially resented taking orders from humans, but had learned to respect their methods. When you decide to do something, you simply do it. Kresh continued, preening his golden feathers. We Talons spend weeks planning the perfect attack while humans adapt and improvise during battle. That is because we do not wait for perfect conditions, Park replied as he reviewed patrol reports from across the sector. We make do with what we have and adjust our plans as situations change. The biggest transformation had occurred in the Galactic Council itself. The corrupt delegates were gone, replaced by representatives who actually wanted to solve problems instead of protecting their own interests. The chamber that once echoed with endless arguments now focused on practical solutions. Earth held a permanent seat on the new Security Council. Not because they had demanded it, but because every other species insisted on having human leadership in military matters. The position came with responsibilities that Commander Lee Day took seriously. His daughter Kim, so young, now commanded the Anti-Piracy Task Force, a joint organization that included ships and crews from 12 different species. They worked together because they had learned that human methods produced results. It is almost boring now, joked Major Choi Ye-jin as she reviewed the latest security reports from her office on Luna Station. Crime has dropped 70% across all major trade routes. Half the remaining criminals surrender as soon as they detect human ships approaching. The psychological effect of human military success had been more powerful than anyone expected. Pirates who once terrorized entire star systems now fled at the first sign of Earth patrol ships. The reputation of human determination had become a weapon. More effective than any missile. Admiral Kim Tae-yun was not taking anything for granted. Despite the dramatic improvements in galactic security, Earth shipyards continued building new vessels, upgrading existing technology and training crews from allied species. Other governments were welcome to join human military programs, but humanity would never again depend on others for their security. The lesson had been learned too clearly during months of watching aliens debate while people died. So, what happens next? Asked Song Jae-wook during a staff meeting at Earth Command. The intelligence chief had been tracking remaining criminal organizations, which had either disbanded or fled to unexplored regions of space. Commander Lee Day looked out the observation window at stars that now belonged to a peaceful galaxy. His weathered face showed satisfaction at work, completed but also awareness that vigilance was eternal. "Now we keep things simple," he answered. "We watch, we protect, and we maintain the peace we fought to create. If anyone threatens that stability, they will discover what happens when humans handle problems." The real victory had not been military, though it had been respect. When human representatives spoke in council, meetings now, every species listened carefully. When Earth proposed solutions, other governments competed to help implement them. The galaxy had learned that humans did not make idle threats or empty promises. When they said they would do something, it happened exactly as described, with overwhelming force and absolute determination. Captain So Young received reports from patrol commanders across known space. The news was consistently positive. Trade was flourishing at levels not seen in decades. New colonies were being established in previously dangerous regions. Families were reuniting after being separated by pirate attacks. "We have achieved something remarkable," she told her mixed-species crew during their weekly briefing. "Not just military victory, but genuine peace based on mutual cooperation and shared security." The Talon Empire had restructured their entire military command following human advice. Their new doctrine emphasized rapid response and decisive action instead of elaborate ceremonies and rigid hierarchies. The miners had ended their practice of hiring mercenaries to handle security problems. Instead, they contributed ships and personnel to joint patrol fleets that protected mining operations throughout the galaxy even. The floaters had abandoned their policy of isolation, joining cooperative defense agreements that made their mobile cities safer while contributing to overall galactic stability. General Yoon Seok-jin observed these changes from his position as Earth military liaison to the Reformed Council. The transformation had exceeded his most optimistic projections. 6 months ago, these species could not agree on lunch menus, he commented during a strategy session. Now they coordinate military operations across dozens of star systems with minimal friction. The success had attracted attention from unexplored regions of space. New species were making contact with the Galactic Council, specifically requesting human oversight of first contact protocols. They had heard about Earth methods and wanted protection from potential threats. But the most significant change was cultural rather than political. The galaxy had developed what historians would later call the human standard of problem solving. When faced with difficulties, governments now asked a simple question: what would humans do? Song Jae-wook had documented this phenomenon in his intelligence report. Species that once spent years debating minor issues were now making decisions within days or weeks. The efficiency was revolutionary. "It is not that they are copying our methods exactly," he explained to Lee Day. "They are adopting our attitude of getting things done instead of finding reasons why things cannot be accomplished." The transformation extended beyond government and military affairs. Private businesses were adopting human management techniques. Educational systems were teaching human approaches to problem solving. Even art and entertainment were being influenced by humanity. Cultural emphasis on action and results. Captain Park Min-ho finished his patrol shift, knowing that families across the galaxy would sleep safely because humans had decided to make it so. The responsibility was enormous, but so was the satisfaction of meaningful work. Admiral Kim Tae-yoon reviewed construction schedules for new ships and training facilities. Earth military power continued growing, not because they sought conquest, but because peace required strength to maintain. Major Yejin trained mixed species, marine units in combat techniques that emphasized speed, flexibility, and overwhelming force. The aliens learned quickly, because they understood the alternative was chaos. Commander Lee Day walked through the corridors of Earth Command, surrounded by the quiet efficiency of people who had found their purpose in the galaxy. They had not sought to become protectors of civilization, but had accepted the role when others failed. The stars outside his window represented millions of worlds where children could grow up safely because humans had said, "Fine, I will handle it," and meant every word. The galaxy had learned its lesson. When humans got tired of talking and started taking action, smart species got out of the way, and dangerous ones got eliminated. It was a simple arrangement that worked for everyone who mattered. The age of human leadership had begun not through conquest or domination, but through the willingness to do what needed doing when others would not. And if anyone ever forgot, that lesson the galaxy would quickly remind them what happened when humans handled things themselves. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so quiet in its 300-year history. Representatives from dozens of species sat in uncomfortable silence as Admiral Kim Tae-yun stood at the central podium presenting Earth Military Report. Her uniform was crisp and her silver hair gleamed under the chamber lights. The holographic display behind her showed destroyed pirate bases, rescued prisoners, and mountains of recovered stolen goods. Each image was proof that humans had accomplished what the Council claimed was impossible. 47 major pirate strongholds eliminated, she announced in a calm, professional voice that carried to every corner of the massive chamber. Over 3,000 civilians rescued from slave markets, including 400 children. Stolen property worth approximately 12 billion galactic credits recovered and returned to rightful owners. The Council speaker blinked, his many eyes nervously shifting on his ceremonial platform. The tall blue alien had spent months explaining why military action was too complicated, too expensive, and too dangerous. "This is quite impressive," he said, choosing his words carefully. "However, Earth methods were rather aggressive. Some of our member species are concerned about human military capabilities displayed during these operations." "You should be concerned," Admiral Kim replied without any emotion in her voice. "Because what you witnessed was just a small demonstration of what humans can accomplish when we stop asking for permission." Commander Lee Day stepped forward, still wearing his combat uniform with fresh battle ribbons pinned to his chest. The medals represented successful operations that had saved thousands of lives. While Council members debated proper procedures, "For months you told us why things could not be done," he said, his voice carrying across the silent chamber. "Too expensive, too dangerous, too complicated. You made excuses while people died. We stopped making excuses and started making solutions." The Talon Empire representative stood on his golden perch, ruffling his feathers with indignation. His bird-like features twisted into an expression of outrage that his translator converted into angry squawks. "You violated our territorial boundaries." Multiple times the Talon delegate screeched. His voice box made harsh sounds that hurt sensitive alien ears. Humans entered sovereign space without permission or proper diplomatic protocols. Captain Kim, so young, rose from her seat in the gallery where human military officers observed the proceedings. Her young face showed the controlled anger of someone who had seen too much death to destroy pirates who were killing your people. She shot back, her voice cutting through the chamber, like a blade pirates you knew about, but could not be bothered to stop because it might cost money or political favor. A minor delegate pulsed with agitation, his crystal body changing colors to show emotional distress. The rock-like being hummed in harmonic frequencies that expressed concern about human military expansion. "Earth acted without Council approval," the miner said through his translator device. "This sets a dangerous precedent for other species who might decide to take unilateral action in the future." Song Jae-wook activated his portable data projector, sending new information to every screen in the chamber. The intelligence chief had spent weeks analyzing captured pirate records, looking for connections to legitimate governments. "Dangerous precedent?" he asked with a slight smile. "Let me share some interesting information we discovered in pirate computer systems. Several Council members were receiving regular payments to ignore certain raids. Others were purchasing stolen goods through shell companies at discount prices." The chamber erupted in chaos as delegates pointed claws, tentacles, and other appendages at each other. Some species demanded immediate access to the evidence. Others tried to leave before their names were mentioned publicly. The floater delegate attempted to drift toward the exit but found his path blocked by Captain Park Min-ho, who had positioned himself near the chamber doors. The gas-breathing alien wobbled nervously in his environmental suit. "Going somewhere?" Captain Park asked politely. "We have not finished sharing our discoveries about which species were secretly supporting pirate activities. 3 different mining consortiums had been buying stolen rare metals." Song continued as his data appeared on screens throughout the chamber. The Talon Empire military was purchasing captured weapons at 70% below market price, and the floater trade unions were hiring pirates to attack competitor shipping routes. Accusations and denials filled the air as species representatives realized their secret dealings had been exposed. Some tried to claim they were conducting legitimate business. Others insisted they had no knowledge of criminal connections. The council speaker banged his ceremonial gavel repeatedly, trying to restore order, but the damage was already done. Several delegations were frantically contacting their home governments, knowing their political careers were finished. Admiral Kim Tae-yoon stepped forward, and her voice cut through the chaos like thunder in a storm. "That is enough," she commanded. Every alien in the chamber felt their survival instincts respond to the authority in her tone. "Earth did not ask for your permission because we did not need it," she continued. "We solved the problem. You were too corrupt, too cowardly, or too incompetent to handle ourselves." The silence that followed was deafening. Even the most arrogant species representatives understood they were facing beings who had just proven their military superiority through direct action. Commander Lee Day walked to the center of the chamber, looking each delegation in whatever eyes or sensors they possessed. His weathered face showed no mercy for those who had enabled the deaths of innocent families. "The corruption went deeper than we imagined," he said. "Pirates were not just stealing from your people. They were working with your governments. Your own officials were profiting from the suffering of civilians." A nervous floater delegate finally spoke, his gas-filled suit making whooshing sounds as he asked the question everyone was thinking: "What does Earth want?" Now, Lee Day smiled, and every alien in the room felt a chill run through their bodies. The expression was not cruel or threatening, but it carried the absolute certainty of someone who held all the advantages. "We want what we have always wanted," he replied. "Peace, trade, and cooperation between all civilized species. But now you understand what happens when we do not receive it." The council speaker tried to regain control of the situation by calling for formal discussions about future security arrangements. But the political landscape had changed forever. Captain So Young stood to address the chamber, representing the younger generation of human military leaders who had proven themselves in combat against impossible odds. "The galaxy is safe now because humans made it safe," she announced. "My generation fought and bled to protect people who called us warmongers and savages. We did not do it for gratitude or recognition." Major Choi Ye-jin joined her fellow officers at the center of the chamber. Her marine insignia gleamed as she faced the assembled alien delegates. "We did it because it was right," she added. "When criminals threaten innocent families, someone has to stop them. You were not willing, so we handled it ourselves." Song Jae-wook activated one final display showing real-time security reports from across known space. Pirate attacks had dropped to nearly zero. Criminal organizations were surrendering or fleeing to unexplored regions. "This is the new reality," he announced. "Human patrol ships are keeping your trade routes safe. Human intelligence networks are tracking remaining criminal groups. Human military forces are ready to respond to any future threats." The message was clear without being spoken as a direct threat. The galaxy now operated under human protection, whether other species wanted it or not. Admiral Kim Tae-yoon gathered her officers and prepared to leave the chamber. The council could debate and argue all they wanted, but the important work was already finished. The age of human diplomacy through superior firepower had begun, and every species in the galaxy understood the new rules when humans said they would handle something, they meant it completely and permanently. The first pirate base died without ever knowing death was coming. Hidden deep in the Korath asteroid field, the facility had been launching raids for 15 years. The Galactic Council knew it existed, but could never agree on who should attack it or how to split the costs of the operation. Commander Lee Day watched from the bridge of the Earth space vessel Determination as his stealth ships moved through the asteroid field like ghosts. The pirate sensors could not detect the human vessels, thanks to technology that had been developed in secret research facilities. 12 human warships surrounded the asteroid base in perfect silence. Their crews had trained for this moment through countless simulations. But this was real combat against enemies who killed families for profit. Target confirmed. Admiral Kim Tae-yoon reported from her position aboard the ESV Vengeance scanner. Readings show approximately 200 pirates inside the facility, along with stolen goods from at least 30 merchant vessels. Lee Day felt no emotion as he gave the order that would end dozens of lives. "All units execute attack pattern. Alpha, 24 missiles launched simultaneously from the human ships. each one guided by computer systems that could track a coin flipped in space. The missiles struck the pirate base within seconds of each other, turning rock and metal into expanding clouds of superheated gas. The explosion lit up half the asteroid field, brighter than a small sun emergency escape. Pods launched from the dying base, but the human ships were ready. Every pod was tracked, captured, or destroyed depending on the intelligence value of its occupants. Major Choi Ye-jin led the boarding teams that secured 3 intact escape pods. Marines moved with the deadly efficiency of soldiers who had seen too many civilian bodies floating in space. This one was the base commander, she reported, dragging a bug-like alien from his crashed pod. He has information about supply routes and other base locations. Captain Park Min-ho monitored communications from his rescue ship. The pirates were broadcasting distress calls on all frequencies, but no one was coming to help them. Their allies were too far away, and the attack had been too sudden. 17 pirates captured alive, he announced. 6 more bases identified from their computer records. Admiral, we have locations for their main supply depot and 3 smaller outposts. The news of the attack spread through the galaxy faster than light speed. The Galactic Council called emergency sessions within hours. Some species condemned Earth for taking unilateral military action. Others secretly celebrated, but could not say so publicly without appearing weak. Captain Kim So-young led the second operation, targeting a pirate supply depot that had been hiding in Talon Empire space for months. The bird-like aliens had known about the facility, but claimed they lacked resources to attack it themselves. The depot was larger than the first base, with heavier defenses and more pirates, but human intelligence had provided detailed schematics from captured computers. The attack was over in 30 minutes. Supply depot neutralized, So-young reported as her ships finished destroying the last defensive satellites. We found records showing this facility supplied weapons to 12 different pirate groups across 4 sectors. The Talon Empire government sent angry messages about territorial violations, but they could not argue with the results. The depot had been stealing Talon merchant ships for months while their military did nothing. Major Ye-jin stormed through the smoking ruins of a pirate headquarters on the dead world Zarian 7. Her Marines had dropped from orbit, like avenging angels, clearing room after room of surprised criminals. 3 more bases identified from prisoner interrogations, she announced. We found their prisoner holding facilities. Admiral, 28 civilians rescued alive, including 12 children. Song Jae-wook coordinated the intelligence gathering from Earth Command. Every captured pirate provided information about the larger organization. Every destroyed base revealed connections to other criminal groups. The Void Raiders are trying to adapt, he reported during a strategy meeting. They have changed their patrol routes, moved supply convoys, and increased security at remaining bases. But our hunter-killer drones are tracking them. The small robot probes followed pirate ships through hyperspace jumps, leading human forces to bases that had been hidden for decades. Stealth frigates appeared without warning to destroy supply convoys and rescue captured civilians. Captain Park Min-ho intercepted a pirate communication convoy trying to relocate their stolen goods. The criminals had loaded dozens of ships with loot from hundreds of raids, thinking they could escape to unexplored space. The convoy never made it to hyperspace. Human warships appeared from 3 directions, cutting off all escape routes. The battle lasted 4 hours, ending with every pirate ship captured or destroyed. Stolen property worth 8 billion galactic credits recovered. Park reported, we found passenger lists from 70 destroyed civilian ships. The pirates kept records of everyone they killed. General Yoon Seok-jin led the assault on a fortified pirate world where criminals had enslaved an entire colonial population. The human attack came from orbit with precision strikes that avoided civilian areas while destroying every pirate stronghold colonial population liberated, he announced. 2,000 former slaves, now free pirate casualties, total over 500, with minimal civilian losses. But the biggest shock came when Earth forces located the Void Raiders' main command ship. The massive vessel called Dread Sovereign had been thought impossible to find, constantly moving through unexplored regions of space. Song Jae-wook had tracked it using data from dozens of captured pirates, cross-referencing supply schedules, communication patterns, and hyperspace signatures. The ship was hiding near a collapsed star system using the radiation to mask its presence. Admiral Kim Tae-yun personally led the attack fleet that surrounded the Dread Sovereign. 20 human warships appeared around the pirate flagship like hunters closing in on dangerous prey. The legendary pirate king Vorthak tried to negotiate, sending messages offering information about other criminal organizations in exchange for his life, but humans had learned that criminals who killed families did not deserve mercy. The battle lasted 6 hours. The pirate flagship was heavily armed with weapons stolen from destroyed military vessels, but human tactics and technology proved superior. Coordinated attacks overwhelmed the ship defenses while rescue teams saved captured prisoners. Pirate King Vorthak, confirmed dead Admiral Kim, reported as the enemy flagship broke apart in expanding debris clouds. His personal fleet has been completely destroyed. News of Vorthak's death spread through criminal networks faster than government communications. Pirates who had seemed bold and dangerous suddenly became frightened animals looking for places to hide. Many smaller pirate groups disbanded immediately rather than face human hunters. Others attempted to negotiate surrender, offering to return stolen goods in exchange for mercy. The backbone of organized piracy in the galaxy had been broken in less than 3 months. Human forces had accomplished what the Galactic Council could not do in decades of debate. Captain So Young commanded the final operation against the last major Void Raider stronghold. The space station had been built inside a gas giant atmosphere, hiding from normal sensors. "We have visual confirmation the base is destroyed," she reported. The Void Raiders no longer exist as an organized threat. Commander Lee Day stood on the bridge of his flagship looking out at stars that were now safe for honest travelers. His daughter and thousands of other brave humans had proven that sometimes the only way to preserve peace was through overwhelming force. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as humanity accomplished the impossible, not through superior numbers or advanced weapons, but through the simple determination to finish what they started. When humans said they would handle something, they meant it completely.